Hi, I'm Ben and you're watching XDA TV, and I just got out of Samsung's Galaxy S21 hands-on demo session, and here are my thoughts. Last year's S20 series was relatively boring looking in my opinion. It had a generic design with dull colors, the glass back attracted a lot of fingerprints, and that camera bump, especially on the Ultra model, was a little bit unsightly. It just kind of stuck out in the middle of nowhere. Was inelegantly designed in my opinion. I think a lot of people share that opinion too. What was particularly embarrassing was that on the S20 Ultra, Samsung printed 100 times space zoom on the camera module, but when you actually use the phone and you zoom up to 100 times, it was borderline unusable. Images appeared blurry, and on the viewfinder, images were really shaky. So the S21 series fixes most of that. So first of all, just look at all the vibrant colors that are available at launch. Second, the camera bump has this new unique design that Samsung calls contour cut. Basically what it is half the camera module now blends seamlessly into the aluminum chassis that wraps around the phone. And it's a very, in my opinion, elegant design that lessens the appearance of the bump. And even if you don't like how this looks, you have to at least admit this is completely original. This looks different from the dozens of other smartphone camera bumps out on the market. The back also has this matte coating that no longer attracts fingerprints and smudges. Overall, I find the S21 Ultra from the back to look highly elegant, sleek, and sexy. Now I only had 45 minutes of the phone in a controlled setting, so I couldn't do too in-depth testing. And naturally, I focused most of that time on the S21 Ultra because that is Samsung's top tier offering. So let's look at the S21 Ultra first. So what's new over last year's S20 Ultra? Well, you got the internal spec bump, obviously. You have a Snapdragon 888. It's Qualcomm's new 5nm chipset. That naturally is a step up from last year's 865. But the big improvements come in the camera system, mostly in the zooming. Now the main and ultra wide angle camera, that 108 megapixel sensor and that 12 megapixel ultra wide, the hardware remains mostly the same as last year's phone, but the periscope zoom lens, that 10 megapixel periscope zoom lens, has gotten a big bump. That's because now the lens on the S21 Ultra is a 10 times optical zoom. Now unfortunately, Samsung did not let me take photos out of the phone to examine closely or to even show you guys the full image right here, but from what I can see, holding the phones, looking at the viewfinder, the 10 times zoom look super clean and sharp. I find that at 20 times and 30 times zoom, images still look crazy razor sharp, and you can go all the way up to 100 times zoom, that space zoom, and this time it actually works. So first of all, you notice that space zoom now, it's very steady. Right here, I'm holding the S21 Ultra with one hand, zooming at 100 times, and look at how stable the image is. On the S20 Ultra last year, you cannot really shoot a stable image if you're just holding the phone with one hand because images would just shake too much. You basically need a tripod for the S20 Ultra. With the S21 Ultra, that optical image stabilization really does a good job. And look at the details of that 100 times. It's not the sharpest image, but it actually looks presentable. It's not a blurry, blotchy mess like last year. Now again, I only had limited time and I couldn't really examine the photos, but from what I can see, this 100 times zoom and 30 times zoom, it's more impressive than any other zooming systems I've tested in the past year. And I've tested them all, including the Xiaomi Mi 10 Ultra and the Huawei P40 Pro Plus. But that's not all. Samsung also added a fourth camera to the Ultra this year. It's a 10 megapixel 3 times optical zoom lens. And what this does is it basically covers the shorter focal length. Because last year with the S20 Ultra and the Note 20 Ultra, optical zoom only kicked in at 5x. When you zoom at 2 to 3 times, it was digital zoom, so the results weren't as clear. Now at 3 times, which is an ideal portrait focal length, you're getting optical zoom there. And if you go up to 10 times, you're getting optical zoom there. Now the other two S21, the standard model and the standard S21 and S21 Plus, unfortunately does not have that periscope zoom lens technology. Instead, it relies on a 64 megapixel telephoto zoom lens. You can still get up to 30 times digital zoom, but the results obviously aren't as impressive as what you can do with the S21 Ultra. Now there's one more special feature exclusive to the S21 Ultra. This year, the S21 Ultra supports S Pen. So that means you can use an existing S Pen from, say, a Note 20 Ultra, or you can buy the official Samsung first-party case that houses the stylus S Pen on the left side. This is a larger S Pen than what you get from the Note series, so it's actually quite comfortable to hold. Now, unfortunately, you don't get the Bluetooth remote control functionality with the S21 Ultra, meaning you cannot take selfie pictures with the S Pen, but you can still sketch, jot notes, draw on it with no issues. Now, as for that first-party case, it's quite nice. It actually provides all-around protection for the phone. It wraps around the S21 Ultra from every side. Now look at the displays. The S21 Ultra has a 6.8-inch curved OLED display. It refreshes at up to 120 Hz, and for the first time in a Samsung device, you can have 120 Hz refresh rate with Quad HD resolution. The other two devices, the S21 and S21 Plus, has a 6.2-inch and 6.7-inch screen respectively, and they do not curve. It's a flat panel, but you still get up to 120 Hz refresh rate. But the display on the S21 Ultra, it's definitely a little bit better because the max brightness gets up to 1500 nits, which is the brightest we've seen on a Galaxy phone yet. Now, like I said, I only had about 45 minutes with the phone, so I couldn't really test performance, battery life, any of that. XDA will be getting review units, so when that happens, rest assured we'll do in-depth reviews of the entire device. Right now, this is just a first look at the S21 series. For me, in my opinion, the S21 and S21 Plus are solid flagships, but really the S21 Ultra is where it's at. That zooming system is the best I've seen and completely makes the zooming system on, say, the iPhone 12 Pro Max look childish by comparison. So I think if you are into the latest mobile camera technology, the S21 Ultra is pretty hard to beat this year. So that's about it for this really quick hands-on with the Galaxy S21 series. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing to XDA TV, where we'll have a lot more content coming up, and visit xdadevelopers.com to read all our latest coverage on not just the Samsung Galaxy devices, but the latest in smartphones. So that's it for now. Thanks for watching.